Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good night out there. Tonight we're going to be checking out the Firebus Plus plugin from Acustica Audio. It's a bus compression plugin. Came out a few weeks ago. Acustica Audio is kind of hard to keep up with at the moment. It seems like they're releasing a plugin every week or every other week. They've had a ton come out here recently, this being one of them, and I haven't had a chance to check it out yet. So we're going to do that tonight, and we're also going to compare it to a couple of universal audio compressors, the Fairchild 670 and the Manley VariMu emulations. And the reason for that is there's 4 different emulations in this plugin, and all 4 of them are VariMu based compressors. This Firebus Plus compressor is part of, like, they've got Acustica's got like a whole line of one knob kind of series, which are great because they really increase workflow, and that's what I'm all about, is finding ways to work quicker and better and sound better in the process of doing it. Acustica makes really great sounding plugins. That's not their problem. The problem has been the functionality of their plugins. A little bit hard to use at times, very CPU hungry, and just the functionality of them, sometimes they feel a little bit convoluted, and they are a little bit latent to use. Kind of the read and react time in them it feels like you turn a knob and then it takes a minute for it to catch up. These are things that they constantly seem to be addressing. The CPU usage, this Firebus Plus is on their new Hyper engine, which they talk about and we'll have a quick look at in the manual, but it uses less CPU and faster response time. And their manuals are getting a little more straightforward too. Some of their manuals are epic and really hard to follow along. So it's interesting to see them kind of releasing something simplified, because they do seem like a really complex company that's putting out a lot of great sounding tools. I think as far as saturation goes in the box, I think they have the best sounding saturation. Compression is actually where I feel like they're at their weakest, and I steer away from using their compressors just because there is that read and react time. It doesn't feel like you're using the plugin in real time a lot of times, so I tend to avoid the compressors because I don't know what I'm hearing or when I'm hearing it. And the reason we're going to compare it to Universal Audio is because I think Universal Audio is kind of the gold standard for compression in the digital domain. So we'll see how it stacks up. But yeah, I love Acustica Audio stuff. I think they make brilliant sounding plugins. It's just more the functionality and the CPU usage on them can be pretty tremendous. Yeah, if you haven't been on the channel before, I haven't heard this plugin at all yet. I haven't tried it out at all. The whole point of the stream is for me to try it out in real time and see what I think as I'm working through the plugin. I work totally in the digital domain, and I'm constantly looking for great new sounding plugins that enhance my workflow, or that just straight up sound amazing and are undeniable to use. So yeah, I haven't tried this at all yet, so we're gonna work through it. Before we dive into the plugin itself, I just kind of have a bit of a checklist that I work through, my own personal nerdy checklist for plugins, things that I like to see, things that I want to know are there. These are just kind of things that I consider and take stock of to see if it's going to work into my workflow. The first one is the user interface. How does this thing look? Well, it looks pretty simple. It's one knob, so I like that. I like simplicity, and we can resize it, which is something that Acustica is starting to offer. But in order to resize their plugins, you do have to make them inactive and reactive once you choose the different size. I do want to be inspired by my tools when I'm using them, so this looks really nice and straightforward. No complaints there. Next up on the list is AB and undo. I don't see either of those things here on this plugin, which is too bad, and I don't think there's AB or undo on any of the Acustica plugins that I've tried. I could be wrong there, but I don't think it's a feature on any of their plugins, which is it's not great. We have a gain reduction meter. Meters is also something I look for. We just have a gain reduction meter, no input and output meters by the looks of it. Maybe something will light up when we hit play. A mix knob. Got wet dry mix here up at the top. So that's great. It's something I always look for. Can I use this thing in parallel? Can I blend it in? And you can. So that's awesome. We got an output gain. Looks like it just goes in one direction. I'd love to see auto gain, just so I can manipulate and hear in context. So no auto gain on this by the looks of it, and so they are missing some key features here that I really look for in a plugin. But the thing that Acustica always does is their stuff, yeah, they just sound so undeniably good that you're willing to take the loss on the functionality of the plugin. That's generally how it goes with them. So yeah, that's kind of my checklist. Let's dig into the plugin itself and see what we got here. So we already covered it. We've got a mix knob up here at the top, wet, dry, and then we've got 4 different modes. And we'll look at the manual for what the modes are, just to have a quick look at them. But you switch between the different modes. Then we have a tied attack and release time, from what I understand. We'll double check the menu on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what this is tied. It's synced. We have our threshold. I'm assuming this is our threshold. We have our gain reduction meter. We have our output gain. And then we have a sidechain filter up to 300 hertz by the looks of it. And then we also have some oversample. Oh, that was one thing I didn't cover, was the latency of the plugin. Their plugins are always heavily oversampled and generally run a lot of latency. This one's running 420 samples, as we can see down there. So not a crazy amount. All the Acustica audio plugins come with a 0 latency version of the plugin, but the interesting thing about that is it actually uses up more resources. But it does make them available for you in production if you want to do that. And yeah, so yeah, we have some oversample here. We have up to 4 times oversample. And their plugins are already oversampled, I'm pretty sure, quite heavily. So I wonder how far that oversampling is actually going. But yeah, let's have a quick look at the manual. Yeah, the Firebus Plus series. Processing audio has never been easier thanks to Fire, the series of single knob plugins from Acustica. The aim of the series is to create an easy use product line that encompasses Acustica's top quality alongside very intuitive use with just a few simple clicks, which is great because yeah, a lot of their plugins, they are involved a lot of the time. So yeah, Firebus Plus is the brand new Aqua plugin in the Fire series, giving you uniform sound to your entire mix or master thanks to its ability to glue all of your tracks together, creating a cohesive overall timbre to your bus with just a few clicks and subtle settings. The choice of compressor model from the 4 available, each one based on our hyper compression tech, will greatly impact the tonality and timbre of your mix or master. The result you will get using this quick and easy to use plugin is full sound, pleasantly round, controlled bass with the presence of an adjustable high pass filter. It will allow you to rule out any unwanted pumping. Try it even on a single track so you won't regret it. Firebus Plus is the perfect choice for those who seek a bus compressor with musicality, ease of use, and low CPU consumption. New Hyper Engine, and I did read this already, and this I'm pretty nerdy, and this lost me a little bit, but I'll maybe leave this and you can read it because I would just be reading it to you. Controls, yeah, we have the attack release slider, adjusts 2 parameters simultaneously to offer the user a choice of the most useful setting without any problems. Reducing the release time automatically increases the attack time and vice versa. Increasing the release time instantly reduces the attack time for a softer, spongier feel. Okay, and then here's our modes. Here's our different compressors. So bus is derived from a vintage VariMu vacuum tube compressor with a hugely valvey character. The BS7 derived from an all-American, all-class A vacuum tube compressor. This is a very clean, open, detailed, and highly transparent compressor. It does have some character, including a gentle, smooth sound. It is able to make tracks sound bigger, and it can be used more aggressively when needed. VIO, derived from a British VariMu softening valve compressor with a deep dynamic character and the ability to offer air in the higher frequencies. Some typical applications include vocals, bass, and of course the mix bus. And then the MAG, derived from an American VariMu vacuum tube compressor. Its main use is to bind elements of a mix, what is called the glue effect, while maintaining transparency, warmth, and detail. So how we're going to test this out is I just have this pop country mix from my buddies, the Prairie States, and I've just kind of quickly balanced it out, add a little bit of EQ, a little bit of compression, but I haven't added any bus processing other than a little bit of EQ here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try it out as a bus compressor and try out the 4 different modes and the oversampling and see how it sounds. And then yeah, we're gonna shoot it out against the Fairchild and the VariMu because yeah, I think UA compression sounds incredible. So I'm curious to see how this stacks up. Let's dig in here. So first things first, we'll just see if it's doing anything when we kick it in here. So we're not getting any indication that it's doing anything. Well, let's see if it's nulling. Let's just see if it's doing anything. So, not doing anything. Nulls perfectly. So that's great. It's not doing anything until we tell it to do something, which is awesome because that's how I want all my plugins to be. I don't want them instantly changing anything until I'm telling it to change it. Okay, well let's install in some compression. So the mix is calibrated to -18 dBFS equals 0 VU. That's kind of the operating average that I went to, and that's typically what plugins are calibrated to. We didn't see any of that information in the manual, but I'm just gonna assume that's kind of where it was. That being said, I really had to pull the knob down to get some action here. So already I can tell you from using a lot of Acustica compressors or trying a lot of them out that this is the fastest I've ever, like it feels like it's working in real time with me, which is incredible. So it looks like I started on the mag. I'm sorry, I didn't start on the first one, but we're on the mag. Bypassed. Pretty transparent on the mag. Let's dip it down deeper. Let's just really hear what it does. Then we burn out of control, body and soul till we fade out like smoke in the dark. Been keeping this flame for what feels like so long. That's pretty transparent. So much has changed, but it's still burning. Getting a little bit more air, but the bottom end's tightening up a little bit. I mean, the fact that we're pushing between 3 to 5 dBs of reduction in it, pretty transparent. Sounds great. Let's try some different attack and release here. So as I go slower, the attack goes faster. And vice versa. Right? I read that right? Oh, reducing the release time automatically increases the attack time and vice versa. Okay, yeah. So I was right there. I'm just gonna loop the chorus. And then default, I guess, is probably the ideal setting for that compressor. Let's try it out high pass. Nice simple filter. Okay. 3 dBs would generally be the most I'm putting onto a mix. That'd be usually the farthest I would go. This sounds really nice though. Is there any sort of bypass on it? No. So we do get a bit of a noise there when we're bypassing it. All right, let's hear what some of the other ones sound like. So let's start on the bus. A little bit punchier. Really hear it on the kick and the snare on this one. This definitely sounds a little more heavy-handed. Let's maybe just back it off to a couple dBs. A little bit thicker sounding, a little bit gushier. You can feel our top end kind of squished it down a little bit, but a real nice punch and really nice, yeah, kind of a gushy goo to it. Whereas that mag seemed really transparent, really opens it up, get a little more presence. Okay, let's try out the BS7. Just seems like a little more subtle than the bus one. Still feeling the tightness on the bottom ends, and it's a little bit darker again compared to that mag, but getting some nice punch there. Doesn't feel too heavy-handed though. That bus one seems much more aggressive to me. Go back to the bus. And the attack and release, I don't really like as much on this bus on the default mode. really just use that as a leveler. Even at a fast setting, not crazy. We didn't check out that bus on the fast setting. Let's see what that's like. Definitely a little more aggressive. Even at the slowest, should be a faster attack, like just more of a overall leveler setting. Still pretty kind of pumpy. BS7. Alright, and then the VIO. Got a little bit more mids there. It felt like it just got like a little chest here. I think we had some like 800 or 1K pop out. Let's pop back and see that again. Yeah, vocal really came out there. Back to the mag. I think this one is my favorite out of them all. This, and then I think it would be the BS7. I really like the mid-forward thing on the VIO as well, but it'd be great if I kind of knew where I was on the sidechain filter. Okay, well let's see if we can hear what the oversample is doing. So we'll just copy this guy over. Initial thoughts. Sounds really, really nice. Sounds very much like VariMu compression to me. Thick, gooey, and 4 very distinct flavors. So that's cool. Very simple, easy to use so far. Let's see what the oversample does. We'll set up 3 instances of it. Okay, so we have all 3 of them on the same settings, just different oversamples. So left to right here, we've got 1 times, 2 times, and then 4 times oversamples. So I'll swap between these 3. I'm gonna get rid of that. I want to hear that. But all my never against disappear at the hint of a spark. Then we burn out. Okay, yeah, I didn't want the high pass in there. So here we go. That you've broken my heart. But all my never against disappear at the hint of a spark. 2 times oversampled. Then we burn out of control, body and soul, till we fade out like smoke in the dark. Been keeping this flame going 4 times oversampling. Ooh. So much has changed, 1 time. 4 times. 2 times. drop the attack and release back to its default setting. And we'll just do that on all three. Let's try that again. So one time. But all my never against disappear at the hint of a spark. 2 times. Can really hear the dimension kind of come in the top and the bottom. 4 times. One time. Let's get this compressing a little bit harder. So let's just get it compressing about 3 dBs. Copy that over. So 1 time. 4 times. You can hear the whole depth, height, width pop in with the oversampling. Two times. One time. That's crazy. I mean, that makes the 1 time sounds really thin to me, which is a weird thing to say about Acustica audio. Vocal really stands up here, kind of comes forward a little bit more with the 4 time. Back to the 4 time. 2 time. 1 time. Okay. The oversampling obviously helping us with aliasing, getting rid of some of that for us. I'll make sure I drop a link to a couple of great articles on aliasing for people that aren't familiar with it and what the benefits of oversampling are and what that does, rather than me go on about it as I like to do. Okay, well let's try this thing out against a couple of gold standard bus compressors, in my opinion. The UAD Fairchild and the UAD Manley VariMu. These are two compressors that I mean, for years were mainstays on my bus, and the Manley still is a lot to this day. It's something that I reach for. We'll try and get kind of roughly in and around the same area. This isn't going to be an exact comparison. I think 3 dBs on a Fairchild was going to sound pretty intense, but we'll see what happens, and we'll do the same thing on the Manley. The Manley, obviously, default compression, or its in compression setting, is just a 1.5 to 1, so it's really subtle, and then the limit's a little bit harder. But yeah, we'll just kind of set up some levels. I'm gonna set the fire bus to somewhere that I really like it. I think that mag one is my favorite, so we'll get it somewhere that I really like it, and then we'll just try maybe ear match to the Fairchild and the VariMu, or maybe I'll do the same thing. Maybe I'll just get the Fairchild and the VariMu to spots that I like them as well, and then we'll compare. We'll see what happens. Let's get that set up. So okay, so for the comparison, we've got roughly a couple of dBs of gain reduction happening on each compressor. I'm not using a sidechain filter at all, and I just kind of moved things around on attack and release settings on each one of the plugins till I felt like it was comfy to me, felt good to me. So left to right here on the faders, we have the fire bus in 4 times oversample, and then we have the Fairchild, and then we have the VariMu. So we're going a bit in clockwise. We'll just kind of see. We'll do a bit of an AB here on some VariMu compression and see what we like. But yeah, the settings are really just done to my taste on each compressor. So nothing exact here. We're just comparing units as much as we can. Here we go. So we're on the fire bus. Fairchild.
Then we burn out of control, body and soul, till we fade out like smoke in the dark. Been keeping this flame.
VariMu.
Feels like so long. So much has changed, but it's still burning strong.
Fire bus.
We say it's over, never get closer to putting out this
VariMu.
old desire. Here we go again, turning ashes to rankle.
And the Fairchild. And a couple of dBs again on the Fairchild. It's pretty, I mean, the Fairchild's not subtle. So
Disappear at the hint of a spark. Then we burn out of
the fire seems to have like a real kind of richness to it.
fade out like smoke in the dark. Been keeping this flame.
Real smoothness to it.
Feels like so long.
You can hear the aggression in the Fairchild.
Just changed,
Really stands it up.
but it's still burning strong. We say it's over, never get closer to putting out this old desire. Here
And the VariMu, it's kind of got that presence thing, a real kind of modern presence sound, like 3 to 5K. I'm guessing more like 5K. That kind of comes out in it.
that you've broken.
And that kind of, this one, the VariMu, sounds the closest to me to the fire. And maybe that's what it's emulating. The fire bus is emulating, because I think this mag is American VariMu vacuum tube compressor, which the Manley, that could be the Manley. Real nice warmth, smoothness to the fire bus. The VariMu seems a little thin in comparison. The Fairchild sounds really nice to me. Pretty bold. Really thick. Yeah, aggressive. This fire's pretty great. In comparison to the Fairchild, though, I feel like the Fairchild just kind of stands everything up a little bit more. It's a little bit more aggressive. Let's try the VariMu in the limit mode. Definitely a little more aggressive. Now the VariMu sounds really nice and thick, syrupy. Fairchild. Fire bus. VariMu. Yeah, the mag sounds really nice. a little softer. It's not as hard on the transients. I don't feel like it's standing up as much, but this is like really nice smoothness to the compression. I really like the top ends on it. The Fairchild and the VariMu just seem a little firmer to me though, like especially like you can really hear it on the attack kind of hitting in. Just kind of stands things up a little bit more. Yeah, I think I've done everything I want to do. I think it's time to recap. So checking out the Firebus Plus compressor from Acustica Audio. It's part of their kind of one knob series that they're doing, and it's on their new Hyper Engine technology to improve performance and in response. This is the best handling compressor that I've tried from Acustica. Very easy to use, and it feels like it's working with me in real time. I feel like as I'm pushing it, I'm hearing the results, which is not the way I feel about most of their compressors. Most of their compressors, I feel like there's a bit of a lag or latency in between when I turn the knob and I get a reaction. So this feels a lot quicker to use. Yeah, I feel like I'm working with it in real time, which is awesome. This thing sounds great. It's really quick. It's really easy to use. And yeah, and it sounds great. It really sounds like VariMu compression to me. And there's 4 different flavors of it, and you can really dial it in quickly. The oversample is awesome. Definitely when we did the comparison, you can hear that the 4 times really just, the image, when we went from 1 to 2 to 4, the image every time just got a little bit bigger. The handling of the plugin, the functionality of it is really great. Really simple, straightforward. I love tools like this that do one thing and do it really quickly, and it sounds really great. So this checks all of those boxes, and from a sonic standpoint, it sounds incredible. I didn't know how I was going to feel about the attack and release being linked, but it actually felt pretty easy to get it to somewhere that felt pretty intuitive, actually, that it was linked. So I like that. I really think if I were to use this, I would probably only use the mag setting for a bus compressor. I could be totally wrong. I mean, I've played with this for all of 30 minutes, 35 minutes. So, but the mag sounds the most transparent to me. The bus one seems the most heavy-handed to me, and then the BS7 maybe the next most transparent to me, and then the VIO, I really like how the VIO kind of pushes the vocal forward. Seems to bring out the chest in whatever you're doing, so or like some of that 800 or 1K kind of area really brings that out nicely. All 3 of them are really great though, and I think it really is just going to be down to your preference and down to what you want to hear out of it. In the comparison to the Universal Audio Fairchild 670 and the Universal Audio Manley VariMu, I think it held its own. I still feel like UA compression's a little bit firmer, especially when we were going between the Fairchild and the Fire. The Fairchild just felt a little firmer to me, and that's generally the separating factor in compression to me. But this thing sounded really nice. It sounded really smooth through the upper mids and the top end. It felt really smooth, and it felt lush, especially on this mag setting. I mean, I would have no issue picking the Firebus. To me, it was 1A and 1B, I think, for the comparison. Certainly not a scientific comparison, but you definitely get the vibe of those plugins. I think if I were to have to pick in that comparison, I would have picked the Fairchild #1, and then the Fire, and then the Manley, until I switched the Manley to the limit mode. Then the Manley definitely kind of came back into the equation for me. But yeah, right there with UA on the compression. So that was cool. Yeah, it sounds great. It's easy to use. It's fun. Doesn't seem to be eating up a ton of CPU when we were hitting play. Let me just run it back here for a sec. Yeah, it seems pretty light on the CPU usage. Didn't really eat up a ton there. Yeah, it's quick, fun, easy to use. Great sounding VariMu bus compression. So if that's something you're looking for, I would recommend trying this thing out. Curious to try out the rest of the Fire series plugins. But yeah, great sounding compressor from Acustica, and apparently they're going to be updating, at least I hope I read that right, that they're going to be updating all of their plugins, which would be incredible. I have a bunch of acoustic compressors that I don't use because the functionality on them is a bit difficult. So this is great though. I really recommend trying it out. And if you do, let me know what you think. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for me. Yeah, if you're catching me on YouTube and you don't mind dropping me a subscription, turning notifications on, and dropping me a comment, let me know what you think. That would be amazing. That would really help me out. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me for tonight. Firebus Plus from Acustica. Definitely throwing some heat. It's pretty great. Okay, thanks. Have a great night.